Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice and it's by user Throwaway Monoscared. My monogamous male 36's relationship with my poly fiance female 36 has broken down and I'm thinking of leaving her after 3 years together and 2 months from our wedding. I, male 36, am monogamous. My fiancé, female 35, is polyamorous. I am leaving her 2 months before our wedding and haven't told her yet. I didn't have an issue with her being poly, still don't to be honest. I've dated poly people casually in the past and honestly, we both thought this would be a fling, but we fell in love. We couldn't be apart, we couldn't stop thinking of each other, we supported each other, we carried each other, we moved in together, we want a family, we want kids. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I proposed last summer, I still love her. We have rules. She has 4 pre-existing partners from before we met. It's an out of sight, out of mind mentality. She tells me who she is meeting, but no other details. Her idea is to make it easier for me. Her partners don't live near us, so it's once in a blue moon she meets them. Some of those relationships are a decade old, so I've never asked her to be monogamous or to take it away from her. I've met her poly partners and they are great guys, most of them anyway. As a monogamous person, it doesn't feel great, but I promised to support her, and considering we're engaged, it was working. So why do I want to leave? I have a few reasons. She has maintained since our first date, she doesn't like public displays of affection. No kissing, no touching, hand-holding is rare. She said it makes her really uncomfortable, so I don't do it. When she's with her partners though, it's completely different. She straddled one on a bar stool once and rubbed her nose in his cheek, and when they stood up, she rubbed her ass against his crotch, in front of me. Another time, we were at a group picnic and one of them showed up and she kept rubbing her hands between his legs. It's not comfortable for me, but I let it go. She's with me almost the entire year, bar like 4 to 5 days when someone comes to town. But firstly, she's breaking the rules. She knows she's not supposed to do that in front of me. We agreed to it together. Secondly, she never does that with me. Not once. And that's draining. It finally came to a head for me when she wanted to throw a party for us for our engagement because we never had one. One of her partners flew in to surprise her. She got drunk, and if we weren't in public, they would have ended up having sex in that bar. They were running their hands underneath their clothes with me sitting a few feet from them. Our friends kept asking me if I was okay. It was that intense. I had to step outside and she came after me after a few minutes. She started crying. I tried to hug her to tell her it was okay and she shoved me away and went back in. We didn't speak for the rest of the night. Later that night, she wanted to have sex and I just wasn't in the mood. I started thinking over the things over the years that have happened between us, especially when it comes to sex and affection. She is into very vanilla sex. I am not. She's the first person I've had vanilla sex with since I lost my virginity. She doesn't even want to spoon because she says she doesn't like it. But I found out that she likes to perform all the things that are a no-no in our bedroom with her partners because she says it's just one night out of the year and allows it even if she doesn't like it. She does things she knows I enjoy, but she won't do them with me. I respect her choices, so I don't do them. She's important to me. About a year into our living together, I found a massive toy in her things. She told me she doesn't like sex toys because they feel too artificial and she doesn't want something like that. It turns out that the toy is reserved for one of her partners to play with her because he likes it. It's there for just one night a year when she lets it go. Then I found out she went hiking with one of them and they ended up having sex in public. We were at a private spot at a beach once and I joked about it and she told me absolutely not, she does not do that. I realized I'm the safe option. I'm just the person who she can come home to, doesn't need to worry about what happens in public or in bed. I only do the things she enjoys for her sake. I don't like being the safe option. I used to be wild before I met her. And I don't understand if these were people who she has a decade of relationship with, why don't they know she doesn't like any of this? I spoke to her about public displays of affection, not even sex, once, and asked her why she won't do them with me, but straight up gropes her other partners in public. She got mad and told me I was jealous. Her poly friends told me the same thing, that I'm being jealous and that polyamory is about letting jealousy go. Everything I've read online talks about jealousy. Jealous, jealous, jealous. Of course I'm jealous. I'm hurt. I'm human and I have needs and desires too. Jealousy just seems like the umbrella term for an excuse. Does that make me wrong to want to be affectionate with my partner, but I'm apparently the only one who respects her likes and wishes? If someone flirts with me, she's immediately on it. She makes it clear to them that I'm taken. She will argue and fight if she needs to. She tells me all the time that if I cheat on her, she'll leave me. If I sleep with anyone else, she'll leave me. She knows I won't do polygamy, it's not my thing, and I would never cheat on her. The chances have happened and I've shut it down immediately. I only want her. So I want to end our relationship and our engagement. I love her, but maybe I need to think of myself. I don't want to leave her. What do you think? Well, OP, there's many things that I'm thinking right now, but the first one would be your girlfriend's double standards are gross. Also, I have no idea how you or your girlfriend rationalized that this would be a positive relationship. It's impossible that that could have happened. Monogamy and polygamy are absolute opposites. OP, I think you are right to be hurt by what she does, because apparently you guys have set some rules that you've told us twice in your post that she doesn't follow. I'm guessing those rules are what she gets to do in front of you with her partners, which I have to say, personally, I find it incredibly bizarre that you guys go on those types of dates or gatherings. Like, let's say, for example, your engagement party, where you were celebrating with your friends getting engaged to this wonderful woman that you love while she was just a few feet away making out with one of her partners. And when you just couldn't take it anymore and you needed some air, she made it all about herself, pushed you away and went back inside, probably to him. OP, personally, I think this relationship never should have started, so I'm just gonna say good for you for wanting to end it. That would be the healthy option in my opinion. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Also, to further understand the concept, do you think OP is a simp? And if so, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much of a simp do you think he is? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. D plus L plus K plus M says, you could have just written, I've changed my mind about getting married, and the answer would be the same. If you're having doubts, don't do it. You don't have to justify your feelings to us. You do somewhat have to justify your feelings to your soon-to-be ex, but unless she's a straight-up idiot, she's probably expecting it. In all likelihood, she's known for years that she's been using and taking advantage of you. Since she has no intention of ever being monogamous anyway, her only regret will probably be financial, and she'll get over that. And OP responds, yeah, it's hitting me that my decision was probably already made when I posted. I just needed some verification. People in our circles keep telling me to be supportive of her because outside of the sex and intimacy, she's an amazing partner. She told me she would consider becoming monogamous if we got engaged early on in our dating history. It wasn't something I was holding on to, and I told her to do it only if she wanted, not for me. That was probably a mistake. I should have been more selfish. SCH says, I don't think this relationship is healthy for you. You aren't free to be you. You aren't free to express yourself, and your needs aren't being met. Your fiance has repeatedly crossed boundaries that both of you agreed to, and when you bring this up, she turns the tables and makes it seem like you're the problem. You aren't jealous. You just want to be treated fairly and equitably in your relationship. She is giving things to her other partners that she is refusing you, and you have every right to feel dissatisfied with that. I think leaving is probably the best option for you. Sorry. And OP responds, that's one of the things I don't like, is being told by her poly friends, who I went to for advice if this was normal in a poly relationship, that I'm jealous. I know when we started dating, one of her friends told her absolutely not to date me. They actually told me what everyone else here has said to me, but from the other end, why would you date a monogamous person? It never ends well. Okay, but not okay, says, what is wrong with you that you accept such blatant double standards and misuse? It's as though all her passion is reserved for others and your existence is to provide her comfort in between bursts of wildness. What drives you to accept this for yourself? Get out now. No more slinking around hiding your resentment. Tell her to leave and that there is no chance of resolution. Have friends, true friends, present, as she is clearly very manipulative and retribution is likely. Additional information from OP's comments. So every time some news breaks of some celebrity cheating or we watch a show or movie about cheaters, she always tells me never to cheat on her. I think about that all the time. She had told me when we first started dating that if we decided to get engaged, she'd consider becoming monogamous. I told her only if she wanted to. Don't do it for me. I didn't want her to be miserable. We've been engaged for almost a year, and I'm not going to ask her to switch. My friends told me to be supportive but cautious when we first started dating. I think everyone wants to be supportive of her because I believe coming out as poly was the first liberating thing she'd had in her life, and to her, leaving it would kill her identity today. But I also don't want to be miserable. I'm just shocked and hurt every time I learn some new thing about how she engages with her partners. 360 days of the year, she's fine. She's a great partner, she supports me, we look after each other, we take care of each other, and we're always there to pick up the phone. It's the handful of days when her partners are in town that there are no rules anymore. Rules that she set up. So I spoke to her friends. I wanted some insight from other polyamorous people, and she has a lot of poly friends. When I brought this up to my own friends, they were the ones who told me to ask myself if I'm really okay with a double standard anymore, which is what led me here. I have to say though that my friends love her, they think she's wonderful, and my friends are very blunt about how they felt about my partner. They said she may curb her public displays of affections with her partners in front of you, but she won't change what she's doing with them. It's hard to look at her sometimes after she's been with a partner after learning all that. Alright, well, the community gave OP some things to think about and also reassured him of his decision, and OP gave us a lot more context regarding his relationship. So now it's time to move on with the update to see how this story ends, but of course before that, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after this video. Now let's move on with that update. Firstly, thank you to everyone who reached out. I did not expect that post to explode as it did. I want to keep the update brief, but I don't know if it will be. I'm not in the best place right now. I'll try and respond to everyone who messaged me privately. I received a lot of advice from many people. Most were to leave her. Some people gave me different perspectives. Had some poly community members message me their insight too. Thank you. I spoke to her. I told her I wanted to end the engagement and move on with our lives. She wasn't happy. She said she loved me and said this is what she was worried about from our first date. She said she doesn't want things to end. I told her I need more in the relationship. I needed what she gave her other partners. I told her I'm going to be your husband, your main partner for life. I told her I wasn't comfortable with what she does with them around me. I told her she was not supposed to do what she does in front of me. I told her I'd taken the advice of and spoken to some people regarding it, and that maybe being in a monopoly relationship was just never meant to be. She told me she just wants me. She wants to spend her life with me. She wants to have children with me and grow old with me. For the first time in 3 years together, I asked her if she is saying she is going monogamous. She said no, she wants to stay poly. She said her other partners mean too much to her. She said she won't open up with me physically in public or the things we do in bed until she's more comfortable with me. She said she's known her partners for a decade, so she's comfortable with them. I told her we're getting married. How much closer to me do you need to get? I asked her why she said yes when I proposed if she didn't feel as close to me as her other partners. She just said it because she loved me and wanted to spend her life with me again. I told her it doesn't make sense. I told her I can't do it anymore and I won't change her, but I won't keep doing this to myself. It was a lot of back and forth, a lot of I love you and I want to be with you on both ends, but hang-ups on both ends as well. We never really yelled or screamed, but we were both angry and upset and hurt. Ultimately, we've decided to postpone the wedding while we figure things out. The engagement hasn't ended yet. I've moved in with a relative not far from our place for now. I think it's over. I've told myself it is. I just feel tortured and hurt. It's been a few days and she tries to call me once every day. I've only picked up a few times. She keeps saying she loves me and we'll sort it out. I've had some of her friends, Poly and Mono both, reach out on her behalf. They said they've talked to her about her other relationships and about ours. They said she's really shattered and she wants me to come home but doesn't want to lose her identity in the process. She came from a very conservative background and coming out as LGBT and polyamorous was a big liberating moment in her life. They said to their knowledge she hasn't reached out to any of her other partners and doesn't want to until we know what is happening between us. My family and friends have told me to do what's best for me. My closest friend told me maybe I should move on. He said 4 days a year isn't worth the torture knowing what she does with others, even if she is a great person. Some of my friends never knew she was poly and they told me to end it once they found out. They were angry that I would put myself into a relationship like this. They said I was torturing myself for something I should have always known was doomed to fail. They all really liked her. We had couples dinners with some of them at least once a month. I know my first post didn't paint her well, but she was wonderful, supportive and loving. We started dating before COVID hit and I lost my job and she carried us for months. She didn't have to, it hadn't been 6 months of dating. Some of her friends told her to drop me, but she said no and she told them I'd get back on my feet soon. We were quarantined together because she asked me to stay with her because she was lonely. But I know it's because I couldn't afford my rent anymore and she gave me a place to be. She did so much for me, more than I deserved. I've spent every day since I picked myself up trying to pay her back for all she did and still does for me. I know a lot of people have used some colorful words in their messages about her to me on here, but she's not those things. I don't want to lose someone that wonderful. Right now, I just feel like it's over and I don't want to do anything except cry and I'm a mess. I'm hoping my head clears soon and that I'll know what to do for myself. We said we'd give it a month apart and come back to it, so in a few weeks we'll see where we stand. As of right now, I'm considering it over. And this update was a little bit over a month ago, so I'm gonna consider over because OP didn't come back to reply to any of the comments on the update and hasn't given us any information since. So OP, here's hoping that you made the best decision for yourself, which in my opinion would be to keep considering it over and moving on with your life. But like I said, that's just me. In any case, here's wishing you the best in the future. Take care OP and thank you for sharing. Now let's finish this video with a quick mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user Shurgi Carl. Who told you to do it this way? Being a travel nurse in the operating room has its benefits. The pay, the ability to take time off between assignments, and the bits of malicious compliance that make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. Been at this hospital for 2 months. I've worked with this particular surgeon a handful of times, but it's always been the same procedure, so I know what he wants for every step of the case. I'm about to start applying skin prep, another layer of antimicrobial security to prevent post-op infection, to where the surgeon is going to operate. He always wants the armpit, front shoulder, and breast or chest of the specific side prepped. We're operating on the patient's right side. They're already asleep and their right arm is padded and secured on the arm board. Before I start prepping, the scrub tech immediately says, "You need to undo their arm," front of the board, so that you can prep the whole arm. I tell them, no, the surgeon wants it prepped this way, and the arm stays on the board. This scrub tech hadn't done this case with this doctor in quite some time either, but they still decided to explain how the whole arm should be prepped for this procedure. I ignored them. I begin my prep. Less than a minute later, the charge nurse comes in to log into the portable X-ray device. We travelers don't often get credentials for those. And the scrub tech decides to ask the charge nurse how the surgical site should be prepped for this case, right in front of me. The charge nurse backs up the scrub tech and tells me I should be prepping the whole arm in addition to the sites that I mentioned earlier. I protested, but Dr. X doesn't want that. He always wants the same areas prepped and draped accordingly. The charge nurse wasn't budging and they demand I unfasten the arm and do it their way instead. I sigh and say, okay, cue malicious compliance. I prep the whole arm and I'm holding it in my sterile glove while waiting for the drapes and stockinette to be applied. all of a sudden, the most glorious thing happens. The surgeon arrives with the charge nurse still in the room. "Did you prep the whole arm?" he asked me. "Yep." "Why did you do that? You've been here 2 months. How do you not remember the prep by now?" "I was told to prep it this way." "By who? Who told you to prep it this way?" The surgeon was pissed due to this delay. As a traveler, I've learned to take the heat for making small mistakes, and I was contemplating taking the fall for this one so that we could just move on with the rest of the day. But before I could speak, my charge nurse was humble and admitted that they told me to prep the whole arm. The doctor looked at me. "Did you tell them how I prefer it to be done?" I did. The doc turned back to the charge nurse and proceeded to lambaste her for delaying the case. The scrub tech just stared blankly at the wall. But I didn't look or listen. I just stood there enjoying the moment with the biggest crap-eating grin under my mask. It's a nice day when someone else proves you were right. Needless to say, I didn't renew my contract at that hospital. I gotta say, respect to the charge nurse for owning it the way she did. That shows character, unlike that tech scrub who has none. Anyways, thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.